What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel on this beautiful Saturday morning. Today we're finally going to get to creating this video and doing this video, and we're going to be talking about the topic of both deleting and tuning your truck. Now, I think that there's some pretty beneficial information that I can put out there for you guys if deleting and tuning is something that you're looking to do, or maybe you've already done it and it just isn't something that, or maybe there's something you haven't thought about that we can discuss today. So disclaimer right off the bat, I don't think that I know everything about this, but there is some pretty beneficial information I think I have that I can again address to you guys, help you guys out, and yeah, let's get right to it. First thing is first, why do people even delete their trucks in the first place? So you're gonna go and you're gonna spend $40,000-$50,000 on your brand new truck from the dealership. Why are you gonna spend even more money to remove components and to remove hardware that has been put on your truck for a purpose straight from the factory? So while there are a couple reasons, a couple good reasons why people would go ahead and delete their trucks, some of the most common is, in theory, these emissions components and these emission systems like the EGR system, your particulate filter on both diesel cars and trucks, because there are some diesel cars out there who use pretty much the same type of hardware. These emission systems, in theory, are great things. They definitely cut down on emissions, outputs, and pollutions, but they are relatively new to these diesel vehicles. So when you think about that, a lot of the kinks and a lot of the faults haven't really been perfected, especially on these diesel trucks. So while it's not common for these systems to experience failures or repairs, they are common enough that they do dictate people removing them altogether and just straight piping their truck and blocking off your intakes underneath the hood for the exhaust gas recirculation system. I'm not saying that your diesel truck is an inevitable time bomb where your emissions hardware is going to crap out on you, but it is common enough, and there are some common issues that arise. So for these people who have the money to straight pipe and delete their trucks, it's just more beneficial to just get rid of it altogether, not have to worry about your check engine light going off, or not have to worry about your particulate filter clogging up, because all of those repairs and all of those services, if you do not know how to do them yourself, can be very, 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 very costly. In fact, sometimes they would probably even cost you more to replace some of those components if you don't do it yourself than it would cost for you to just straight pipe your truck, tune your truck altogether. So again, these emission systems are great things when they work, and they do work. Don't get me wrong, they do work. But like I said, they have common enough faults that it is beneficial to just cut them out altogether, straight pipe your truck. And there are some pros to doing so also, which is something that we'll get into next. I also want to mention that straight piping your truck and tuning it is pretty cool. While that isn't a big reason why, and it shouldn't be your number one reason why, obviously, if you have your big diesel truck, you want it to sound really cool, and yeah, it's cool. If anybody says that it's not cool and they've done it, they're lying. So don't listen. So before we get into your actual pros that you're going to experience when doing this, I want to talk about one of the reasons, one of the most common reasons that causes these particulate and these EGR systems to fail, and that is daily driving your truck. Now, okay, don't take that the wrong way. You can daily drive your truck. I daily drive my truck. But what I'm talking about is, if you have a very short commute to work, to the store, to school, wherever it is that you're going, and you're not giving your truck enough time to register that it needs to clean the filter, your filter is just going to get clogged, it's going to get clogged, it's going to get clogged. If your truck ever enters the regeneration process and you shut it off, it's just going to clog your filter. So there's nothing wrong with daily driving your vehicle. I do it. But, let's be honest, these diesel trucks, these big trucks, are designed, to pull weight, to pull trailers, over long distances, long drives. So if you're not giving your truck that time to clean itself, that time to clean and service the filter on its own, it's going to clog up. That's just the way it works. Again, there's nothing wrong with driving your truck to the store every day. This is my all-around Cadillac, sports car, whatever. But that's just the way it's designed. It's inevitable. If your truck does not get the chance to clean itself because you're not taking a long enough drive, It's just going to build up, and over time and over time and over time, your filter is just going to get clogged. You're going to get a light, and again, if you don't know how to fix that or clean it yourself, you're going to spend probably close to $1,000 at least taking it into the dealership to have it done. So let's talk about a couple of pros. Now, obviously, if you delete your truck, you're going to get rid of the possibility of your particulate filter failing, your EGR equipment failing, because it does fail sometimes. It is underneath the hood. So by getting rid of all that crap, you're cutting down on the possibilities for those things to happen. So that's a pretty good con right there in itself. The second significant one is your increase in gas mileage. Now, I was a bit skeptical when I read that you will receive a increase in gas mileage. I thought, how much could you really get by doing this? I've seen it on a couple forums that I follow, some Google searches, other YouTubers saying, yeah, if you delete your truck, you're going to increase your gas mileage. So until I did it myself and experienced it myself, I was skeptical. But you will gain an increase in gas mileage. Now, it's not going to be like 10, 20 miles per gallon increase. It's about 3 or 4. At least that's what I'm experiencing. But any increase in gas mileage is definitely a great thing, considering the rising cost of diesel. So between city and highway driving, and I do mostly city driving, I'm still averaging about 20, 21, sometimes 22 miles per gallon. And comparing that against my 18 to 19 miles per gallon that I had before doing this, I definitely saw an increase in gas mileage. Now, with every great pro, there are definitely some cons. And if I'm going to be honest with you, there are some substantial cons to doing this to your truck. Now, you have to be tasteful, and you have to decide for yourself if doing this is worth the cons, because you're always going to be placing yourself at risk if you remove your emissions hardware from your truck. Now, my truck here in Missouri, it's registered here in Missouri, I live here in Missouri, is not a legal truck anymore here than it is in any other state. The only difference is, out here in Missouri, out in the Midwest, your cops are different, your people are different. They're not looking to bust people with their deleted trucks. In California, on the other hand, you're going to be putting yourself at even more risk, in my opinion. Now, the other difference is here in Missouri, they don't require emissions inspection whenever you register your truck. California, forget it. This truck can never be registered in California. In fact, this truck cannot be registered in most states and counties. So that's something that you really, really need to consider. Is, like I said, my truck is not more legal here than anywhere else, but where I live, it's one of those things that people don't really mind, so long as you're not driving like a fool, blowing, rolling coal all over the place, making a big scene. If you're cool, if you drive responsibly, if you're respectful to other drivers on the road, most places you're probably not going to have a problem, and that includes California, I would think. But you're going to be placing yourself at that risk, and I'm telling you, it is a very, very, very costly risk. I think it's a $2,500 fine in any state, and you need to vacate the state immediately if your vehicle is not registered there. I've never had that issue, but I've heard some horror stories of people driving through California with trailers, like, a fifth wheel, something where they're just, recreational camping or driving, but because they have those inspections for emissions components at those weigh stations, they were fined, ticketed, and told, well, sorry, you got to leave the state. So you're always going to be placing yourself at a risk, but you need to calculate that risk depending on where you live. And to kind of come off of that point, registering your vehicle. So you need to have a game plan to have your truck registered. Again, out here in Missouri, they don't look for emissions. In Kansas, I believe they don't look for emissions. So if you have a friend, if you have an address that you can use, pick a place where they do not require emissions inspections for your yearly registration. For me, I register my truck 2 years at a time. So if I ever leave Missouri, my truck will still be registered here for 2 years, and I'm always willing to drive back here once a year or once every 2 years just to register my truck. So those are just things that you need to think about, is you're going to have a tough time registering your vehicle in most places. So another big con that you need to consider is your warranty. Obviously, if you remove your emissions components from underneath your truck and under the hood, you're going to void your warranty. In my opinion, I do not think that doing that is worth voiding your bumper-to-bumper warranty. Just because if something goes wrong during that those years or that mileage spectrum. If something goes wrong, you are not liable for any of the costs to repair that truck. Ram will take care of it. So I personally would not do it if your truck was still under its warranty period, but that's up for you to decide. My truck was well over its warranty period when I decided to do this, so I really didn't have that to think about or consider. But yes, your warranty, it's gonna go bye-bye, so think about that. Some things to think about. These would probably be on the con spectrum of things to think about, and the first one is your resale potential. Now, I personally don't plan on reselling this truck, but that's what I said about, the previous 2 trucks that I had. I didn't plan on selling those either, and look at where we are. Now, out here in Missouri, selling these kinds of trucks is probably not going to be difficult for most dealerships if I was to trade this in, and it's probably not going to be hard to sell, to Cody or Ryan out on the farm, just because, they're hard out here for these kind of trucks. Let's just be honest. Now, in your more liberal cities and your more liberal states, if you were to take this truck to a Ram dealership, I can promise you that they're not going to give you the full value, or you're not going to see any of that money back. The money that you put in to buy your tuner, your straight pipe kit, and everything that it costs you to remove all your EGR equipment. Because, technically speaking, this truck is incomplete. It's missing the Cadillac converter, it's missing the particulate filter, it's missing the EGR cooler and valve, all of that stuff. So your dealership knows that, and they know that your truck, even without it, is fine. They know your truck probably runs better without that. But because it's incomplete, you're giving them more fuel to their fire to come down on price or trade-in price of what they're going to give you. So that's just something that you have to know and understand, is even though my truck is fine and it runs fine, if not better, it's still incomplete, from the way that it left the factory. And, that dealership may be hesitant to purchase your vehicle, or that might be one of their tactics. And there's really nothing you can do about that, because they're not wrong. Your truck is incomplete. So again, you just got to think about that. If you don't plan on selling your truck, like I don't, you're probably okay, but things happen. So yeah, we're going to talk about this in the next video, because I think it's something that we need to discuss, and that is your modifications on your truck and getting that money back, because there are modifications that you can do where you will get that money back, and there's more modifications that you can do where you will get none of that money back. And I think that this is one of them, but like I said, we'll talk about that in another video. Another thing you need to think about, and this is one of those things where I do as I say, not as I do, is if you decide to resell any of your emissions components. There is a market for the particulate filters, for the catalytic converters, for some of the EGR equipment. And the biggest market are for people who purchase these things in bulk and take them to refineries where they cut them out, they melt down all the precious metals, and they pretty much recycle them. So people who are going to be buying these are going to be purchasing them in bulk, so they can go get them recycled and get the money for the precious metals. So there is a market for selling these, but in my opinion, despite the fact that I sold mine, I'll be honest, I sold the stuff that I had for a couple $100. I do not think it's worth it, because if, again, you run into a registration issue, if you run into a ticketing issue, if you move and you're having a tough time registering your vehicle, you have your stock equipment to put back on your truck. Because purchasing a new filter, a new cat, even a new downpipe, the downpipe is just a fucking pipe. Excuse me, it's just a pipe, but that downpipe is freaking outrageously expensive. So spending the money to buy back all that stuff is not worth the couple $100 that you're gonna make from selling your stuff to somebody else. So you need to think about that. Do you want to sell it? Is it worth the money? And sometimes it can be, because there is obviously a market for these filters and these catalytic converters. So people want them, so you need to make sure that you're getting the money that they're worth. Okay, so if you're getting the full value of what it's worth, then by all means go get $500, $600, $700 for all your equipment, put it on your truck on something else. But do not take the first $100, $200 that's thrown at you, because they know that your stuff is worth more. That's why they want to buy it from you. Nobody would be wanting to buy any of this stuff from you if it wasn't worth something. So think about it. Don't be in a rush to sell it. If you decide to sell it, make sure you're getting what it's worth. So yeah, I think those are some of the most important things to consider. Again, I don't think that those are the only things, but that's one of the things that I've really thought about and I thought would be beneficial to share with you guys. So again, if this is something you're planning on doing, you have more food for thought, or if you've already done it, you have some other things to think about. I don't know. So we're actually, this is why I'm up so early on this Saturday morning when I should be sleeping in, right? Because sleep is precious. We're actually going to be driving down to Kansas City this afternoon, and we're going to go take care of my father's truck. He's having some particulate filter issues. His check engine light doesn't, can't decide if it wants to stay on or off. So we're going to get rid of all that crap for him. We're going to hook him up, and we're going to get his truck squared away. I'll show you guys some clips of the finished product. It's going to look pretty cool. It is a Power Stroke, so don't give him too much crap. I got to give him crap because he drives a Ford, but it's going to be pretty cool. So we're going to go take care of that. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys' support. Thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe, hit the notification button. I'm in the middle of a move right now, so that's why it's been a little while since I've been putting some more content out. I'm going to be moving to the great state of Utah here pretty soon. So more videos to come. I've done a lot to my truck since the last video. You obviously noticed that on the intro. But yeah, there's some other great things that I want to talk about, some other awesome additions to the truck that I want to share with you guys, so that way you guys are well prepared if you guys decide to take on the same modifications. So thank you guys again. I'll see you guys later.